Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin with a breaking news. A tragic shooting unfolded at a Catholic school in Minneapolis, resulting in the deaths of 2 children and injuries to 17 others during what was a church school. Mass authorities are actively responding to the incident. Welcome to Satv's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchon. I will be your host. I have a very distinguished panelist today. Ali Ahmed, former member, Customs, National Board of Revenue. He is a very outspoken gentleman in international affairs. We have our international affairs specialist, Shamsul Alam Panthoan from Washington. Of course, we have Norman Floyd Barnes. He is our geopolitical correspondent based in Washington. Let me begin with Shamsul Alam Pantho. Is there any other breaking news, sir, you get in the international media is going on right this moment?
A very good afternoon to you, and of course a warm welcome back to Mr. Ali Ahmed, and of course good morning to Norman Floyd Barnes. Let me begin our discussion today with breaking news. We have Ukraine and Russia both claiming that they have downed a lot of drones over the last night attack. Ever since Tuesday evening, Moscow claimed that it destroyed 26 Ukrainian unmanned aerial vehicles over its territory overnight. And alongside, we see Israel launching fresh airstrikes on Damascus countryside. It includes the southern Syria as well. So there has been infighting between Israel and Syria. We know that the Sueda province saw a lot of infighting just earlier on in this month. And of course, India could receive a 25% tariff reduction tomorrow if it stops buying Russian oil. This is of course according to senior US officials, and that is the top 3 that I have picked out today.
Yes, these are the top 3s going on and popping up on the international medias. We see the scrolls on the television. Let us go to Washington. Before I ask a question to Norman, let me read out the news first. The United Nations has demanded justice over a double tape bombing in Gaza's Nasser hospital, killed at least 20 people, including 5 journalists. Drawing global condemnation and possible war crime claims, Israel says it will conduct an independent investigation. My question to Norman is, what were the circumstances surrounding the reported double tape strike on Gaza's Nasser hospital, and why has the UN called it a possible war crime? Mr. Norman.
Good morning to all from Washington, D.C. Today we have a lot of issues going on here in the United States, and particularly one of the concerns is the situation in Gaza. The airstrikes has been not condoned by the United States. It appears that we have a second or maybe third strike that has happened, and it has brought on more concern that the situation in Gaza is getting worse regarding the campaign to take over the whole area. So people are denying that the Israelis saying that they're going to investigate themselves, which is more of an oxymoron. You're making the attacks and you investigate why. So we are looking to see exactly what is the explanation from Israel, why they keep attacking the hospitals, why they keep doing these attacks, and also what is going to happen with this Gaza City takeover. So right now, there's questions being asked, and we're waiting to hear back from Israel.
All right, Norman, let me do a relevant question to Ali Ahmed. How is the Israeli military justifying its recent raid in Nablus, West Bank, and what does this signal about its future operations in Gaza?
Well, one has to be a little sarcastic if one speaks about what Israel has been doing during these last 2 years, more or less, but again throughout their existence, and especially when this present Prime Minister Netanyahu has come to power. So they did not justify anything. They just do it because they call it the Hamas that is there. They dream Hamas, but it is not real. They want to they have decimated all right, but they want to totally abolish, totally destroy these Palestinians. And now we also know, this might be relevant, that they are arranging a meeting in Washington under the chairmanship of Donald Trump, where they will decide about the future of this place. They are now cleansing, it's an ethnic cleansing. So one cannot justify in any way, except if you take a Netanyahu type of justification and its validation by his boss in Washington.
Sir, I want to go to Shamsul Alam Pantho, who has interest on reading and following up all the time about Gaza-Israel issue. Question would be little bit different. With the Gaza death toll surpassing 62,000, what are the humanitarian and geopolitical implications for regional stability? Because we see the Middle East leaders are totally silent.
Thank you for your question. Right now, stability in the Middle East remains a far question. Why I say this? Today, we opened with the discussion that Israel is also launching fresh airstrikes in Damascus countryside, of course, in the Quetta region. So, as per your question, you were talking to me about how they are planning the full conquest of the Gaza Strip. And parts of the Gaza city has seen deforestation. So it's not just a fight against the innocent women and children, it's also a landscaping event in which we see the idea of uprooting trees. So there is no common cause or a common win from this kind of escalation. But however, you see, next month there's the UN General Assembly, and I'm pretty sure that most Western countries and all countries alike are going to come in condemnation of Israel and its brutal attack in its surrounding neighborhood. It's not just the people of Gaza, but it's also surrounding Syria and Lebanon that has constantly faced the brass of the idea of the Israeli Defense Forces. And according to various news agencies, this attack, this gruesomeness of Benjamin Netanyahu is not coming to a pause, but it's being reinforced by the support of the United States of America, which is dangerous for international law and also geopolitics.
Sir, I want to ask a question to Norman regarding this. I think you also would add values on this. We see the Western countries took a side of Israel, Arabian countries are silent, and other world is neutral. My question would be, how are the international leaders, including the Pope and United Nations officials, responding to Israel's latest action in Gaza, which is already recognized as genocide? Mr. Norman.
Yes, the word, the operative word this morning is genocide. The world opinion is that this is a modern day man-made, Israeli-made genocide. The point about the reduction in the ability of having food, we have famine going on. The continual attack, basically the destruction of the Gaza Strip area is great indicators that Israel. Israel is not going to stop until it completes its mission and is not being supported by the overall population, including religious leader, the Pope. Israel is basically instigating hate. They are basically isolating themselves in terms of this mission to basically destroy and get rid of everything that's going on with Hamas at the expense of the people of Gaza.
All right, Norman, my last question regarding the Gaza issue. If we talk about too much Gaza and Israel, I see the viewers get very frustrated. They get very upset, disappointed, because nobody wants to hear Israel is killing civilian, unarmed women and children, starving is going on. I must ask this question to one of my very respectable personality, Ali Ahmed. I found him very straightforward. what role are Gulf states and other Middle Eastern countries playing in efforts to broker a ceasefire or provide aid or to stop brutal attack to Palestinians and Gaza from a small country like Israel powered by entire Westerns?
Well, you have already classified me as a very straight talker. If you think of this locus standi of these Middle Eastern leaders, including that of Egypt, they have all been placed there by the mercy of America, and they are sustained there by Americans. So, they have no courage to go against America, although they would not otherwise be successful if they go against America, but they cannot even speak against them. So, whatever they say, it is for some sort of show. They actually side with America for their own existence. That is how I feel it. Therefore, there is very little that we can expect from this present Middle Eastern leadership, which is not the popular leadership, not elected by the people, not vetted by the people. These are American set leadership. So, that is the reason they will not work anything. Moreover, if we add to this that they have little power, they cannot do anything. Even Britain, France, Germany, who also stood very strongly at one point of time, is now keeping totally silent when they say that there is going to be organized a meeting in Washington under the chairmanship of Donald Trump, where they will decide, you see, they will decide what is to be done with Gaza. And that reminds me of one, last night I was listening to one Arab named girl, a lady commentator from Jerusalem I saw, and she said, that would be good if it becomes a Riviera under American ownership. It would be a good thing, and her name is Arab. So, there are many people like this. So, I think they will all dislike it, they will continue to condemn it, but they will never dare to say anything against US. This is as they say, the next state of the US, the Israel. Therefore, I do not think they will. Many of them does not like it, the way people are being killed, but they do not dare to say anything, including the European powers now. You see, they are totally silent now, because perhaps they are given to understand that America is going to take it over, as they are going to take over that portion in Denmark and all those things. This is as they say, right, might is right, but this is the might is right. They have the might and nobody else. Sometimes they make some protestations, but they do not do anything active. But also, nobody can come with their own soldiers and armed forces and other things. That is also not feasible for them to come and fight here. And why should they? So, that is the thing. The world is now run in the way America wants it, and Netanyahu is his soldier in that area. People often call it this the 51st state of the US. So, that is what it is. I do not see any good things coming
Very
out.
rightly said. I said that this would be last question regarding the Israel-Gaza, but I must include my international affairs specialist. I think he has more on that. I was watching ILTV, Israeli state television. Very shamelessly, they are tagging Palestinian young boys and girls as a terrorist. Don't you think they are using medias to defame Gaza people, innocent people, to the world as a terrorist? And one more question, sir. Western media is also claiming that Israel has been capable to occupy almost 84% of Gaza land. So, do you see that Gaza will exist or Gaza will be part of Israel very, very soon, sir?
Well, currently the Israeli national television is used as a propaganda mechanism for the administration of Benjamin Netanyahu, and what's very sad about this is even as regular Israelis come to the streets in protest of release of the hostages from Hamas and also to stop the fighting between the innocent women and children, this is how our nation remains divided. The administration in Israel is doing such actions that it has caused its own citizens to start questioning Benjamin Netanyahu's administration. But one thing that I can recall back, way back a couple of months ago, when Iran and Israel had started fighting, every time there was a successful landing of a missile on Israel, almost all of the world was in a sigh of relief to see that this aggression towards the Gaza people was retaliated by another country in the region, Iran. Right now, this aggression is continuing, and the occupation of the Gaza city looms at large. But I'm pretty sure that any kind of hostilities between Israel and surrounding countries, there is one country that will always stand out in the face of Israeli aggression, and in my understanding, that is Iran. And Iran has done so earlier on this year, and I can almost certainly predict another kind of escalation in the coming days.
Right, sir. Front is not going to be over as Western media tagging the Hezbollah, the Hamas, the Houthi, Iraqi militias, IS as the proxy of Iran. Also, some neutral journalists are tagging Israel as a proxy of United States. Yeah. Ukraine is a proxy of United States. Sir, would you mind to accept it or you deny this?
Well, one can say a few things for and against. Ukraine is of course fighting for its own existence and its own name in the world as a country. So it is very difficult to say it. Perhaps they compare the religion of the ruler and the people there, the Jews, with this. I think that is not a good way of saying it. Now, Ukraine is fighting for its own existence, and the president is also doing the same for his own existence too. So it would be a little unfair, in my opinion, to give a overall label like that. Let us see as it is, because America is also sort of play acting as a supporter and a negotiator for peace, but is actually not.
Right, sir. Let's look at the Russia-Ukraine issue. I want to go to Norman. Ukrainian officials claim that they have a draft of security guarantees for Ukraine, possibly including NATO-like commitments or peacekeeping troops could be finalized soon, offering hope for diplomatic progress. My question to Norman would be, what progress has been made toward finalizing Ukraine's proposed security guarantees, and how might this impact NATO dynamics? Because President Volodymyr Zelensky already claimed he wants the guarantee of getting $1 billion aid, military aid from United States and also aid from other NATO members. Norman, what is your comment on that?
Yes, the aid package is designed to represent our country's investment in the security guarantees. The president has mentioned and still stand by the fact that he is not prepared to put U.S. troops in Ukraine or in that region. Part of that is a tactic used to work with Russia to secure a peace agreement. But right now, the onus and the responsibility for security and the security measures and any type of physical support will be from Europe.
Norman, one more question I want to put in your table. What does Russia's reported advance into the different region indicate about the current balance of power on the battlefield?
The interpretation is that Russia is planning for total control. They want the world to know that we are have the advantage, and we will determine the terms of any type of peace or sensation of aggression. Nothing has changed regarding their primary mission is to take over Ukraine and to destabilize NATO. So everything you see now will be to that effect.
All right, I need a difficult question. I want to do it to Ali Ahmed, because he is also watching the development of this issue. America says they want Ukraine, they want to give Ukraine as a NATO-like security, not NATO's Article 5 security. Could the introduction of NATO-like security guarantees without formal membership of Ukraine escalate tensions with Moscow? I mean,
well,
Moscow will agree or disagree?
There is no point in discussing it here, and also there is a point, because what Donald Trump has said, it simply means a member-like, NATO-like security, but that Article 5 says that in case a member is attacked by others, they will, some country, other members will come forward. USA is a member, but if NATO is not a member, so there is no legal necessity or obligation or justification for US to come on the side of Ukraine. So this is just a hoax, and especially coming it from the person it does, we take it to be a hoax. It does not stand. But I would like to point out in this case, you must have made, there was a small news item, but very important. We know Germany was totally neutered and all those after the Second World War, but then with the change in the world, Germany is now in and rearming itself, and also America's pressure in the past and also in the present, from 2% to they are all coming to 5% of the GDP for rearming. But the German Chancellor, that is the equivalent to President, there was an announcement official that they are going to introduce, very interestingly, voluntary conscription, a contradiction in terms. Conscription is compulsory necessity of the citizens to serve in the armed forces for a fixed number of years. And he says they are introducing, and the cabinet has already passed it, voluntary conscription. Anyway, they have done it knowingly. The thing is, Germany understands and has made a clear manifestation of it, as have the other countries, that perhaps a great big war is coming. America's role is still not predictable what it is going to be, but there is going to be a war. That is what they think. So they have introduced conscription, right. Others are introducing and all those things.
I want to get in the interested area of our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. I know you very deeply follow Anadolu, one of the famous news agency in Turkey, and Turkey's leader Erdogan is always interested to get involved with the international affairs, especially with the West connecting the Middle East countries. But have you been noticed that he is quite silent?
Well, this comes in, he wanted, his administration in Turkey wanted to host both leaders of US and Russian leader Vladimir Putin. But the both leaders and in the mediation of Mr. Steve Witkoff, who is a special envoy for Donald Trump, they have chosen Anchorage, Alaska, the joint base in Alaska, and that's where the talks have been held. And ever since then, the Turkey's leader Erdogan has been quite so silent about this matter. Of course, Marco Rubio and Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan has been in touch over this issue of Russia and Ukraine, but once again, even yesterday, we see a massive drone ordinance infighting between the two nations, and it's quite so dangerous as America has tried to mediate this as far as negotiation and dialogues are concerned. But this fighting between the two sides are still continuous, and the more this continues, we can understand that it will end in a big blast. I don't want a repetition of the Hiroshima bombings, but those became quite so significant, as immediately after the bombings the war had ended and everyone called it a truce. So this big bang at the end of the tunnel is what most people fear the most.
But one day, for resolving the entire situation, all global world leaders has to be in one table. That you agree, right?
Most
Let us look at the tariffs and trade issues, ladies and gentlemen. Before I go to the tariffs and trade issue, I want to say Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Foreign Affairs Minister Sergei Lavrov is operating the ceasefire or peace meeting. On the other side, his generals are moving into different region of Ukraine. Report says Russian forces reportedly advanced into the different region, further escalating tensions, and it will hamper the peacekeeping process. Let us come to the trade and tariff issues. The US under President Donald Trump has imposed 50% tariffs on goods from India in response to its continued purchase of discounted Russian oil hitting key export sectors like textiles and jewelry, potentially trimming up to 1% of India's GDP. My question I want to do, Mr. Norman, why is President Trump's administration moving to impose a 50% tariff on Indian goods, and how might this affect global trade partners?
Yes, the issue with the imposition of the tariffs, particularly the 50% increase on India, is going to have a severe effect on the global economy. India is already feeling it internally. Most of the manufacturers and the people who provide these services and imports to the United States is suffering. The cost to make goods is very expensive to the point where they cannot afford to even deal with importing, exporting of anything to deal with the United States. On the other term, the United States, the recipients over here cannot afford, particularly the small business people are suffering to the point where most of them will be closing their businesses or doing other things or doing another type of supply. We have an issue here is that India and the United States has to come to terms on how to deal with this. I see this 50% tariffs as something that's temporary. It's not sustainable for either countries to do this. We have these tariffs, but it's not going to be sustainable. It's not going to happen.
Norman, let me do a counter question to a person who understands tariffs and trade better than all of us, because he served long time in the customs department of National Board of Revenue and he became member customs of this country. My question is, how is the White House defending its economic protectionism amid concerns about global market volatility?
Well, we have discussed it here before and also elsewhere in other TVs and newspapers, etc. The simple effect of raising tariff of a country, other countries' imports to my country, means that that country's imports will be diverted, will be lessened, will be squeezed. But this country also will continue with some imports, in this case the US, and the US consumers, importers, will pay more for the imports of those things. It simply means that the US becomes less benefited and there is going to be inflation, which Donald Trump committed that he will reduce, and he cannot do that. So this is a foolish policy. But interestingly, I should also like to, you might not have missed, this noon there was a scroll news shown by the BBC that America says it may reduce it from 50% to 25%
Yes.
if you stop importing Russian oil.
Yes.
That is a childish play. No sensible government with self-respect will do this, and nor will India perhaps. So this is a childish way of doing things. This is not going to be of any use. But then I don't know where he is leaving. Now American inflation is going up. There will be reduction in productivity, that is GDP and all those things. So this country with Donald Trump's policy cannot sustain for long. And a CDC, the lady, another one, the lady was sacked, the governor, and another one appointed by him and got the Senate's approval, and he was sacked 3 weeks after.
But I have a news that the political implications of the lawsuit filed by Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook against the Trump administration.
It is, Trump has no legal authority to do it. So lawfully it will be dismissed, set aside by the court. But America being what it is nowadays, it will go up to the Supreme Court, and the obliging Supreme Court, all domestic people of the present president, will perhaps uphold these illegal things in a legal way. That is what I am afraid of.
Sir, I need to go to a break, but want to do a little question to Norman. Norman, what are the political implications of the lawsuit filed by Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook against the Trump administration? Because some of the articles have been noticed that if Donald Trump does not have the right to fire someone, he embarrasses
the legal
socially.
authority, he doesn't have it.
He embarrassed that person socially, and that person felt insulted and then left. Is it a new kind of policy, or this is unprecedented, right?
Yes, this tactic is a new tactic, and it's we're talking about this panel is that most of these executive orders, these actions, these reactions are not legally constitutional. They can't be sustained. But at the same time, the president knows that I can put it out there and see how much it will stick, how much effect it will have, but it has a irreversible effect on the recipients. Basically, you know, if I say I'm going to fire you tomorrow, and you say no, I'm not going, yes, I will be tied up in court. But in the meantime, you are no longer effective in the job that you do. You may win the suit, there may be a settlement, but you will never go back to that position. You will never have the effect that you have. You may maintain and hold it, but your situation is going to be a living hell. So the effect is basically I can make accusations. They don't have to be real. They don't have to be substantial. They don't even have to be legal. But I made the accusation, and I basically have destroyed your career.
I'm sure Shamsul Alam Pant want to add or disagree something.
Thank you, Mr. Kanchal. And of course, as Mr. Ali Ahmed was saying, it was the White House Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing, Peter Navarro, who had claimed saying that if India could stop buying Russian oil by tomorrow, this 25% reduction may happen. And of course, according to Mr. Ali Ahmed, the CDC is the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. Director Susan Monares was removed from her position less than a month after the Senate confirmation. Just 3 weeks. So it comes to show that government people who work in government jobs or government services to somewhat capacity are now being targeted by the administration. And as Norman Floyd Barnes was saying, that their life would become quite so a living hell, and that they would never want to come back to that very same position. So it opens up, Pandora's box, if you would call it in America.
All right. During the young age of our life, we used to watch one American popular show, Apprentice, hosted by Donald Trump, and he has one word: "You are fired." Now we see this word in White House when he is the President of the United States of Nation. Ladies and gentlemen, let us come back from a short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Norman, I don't have a question for you right this moment, but our international affairs, especially Shamsul Alam Pantho, is willing to ask you a question.
Well, thank you for giving me the lead, Mr. Rashid Kanchan. And of course, we know that one of the most unconventional things and items that Donald Trump had, said earlier on this year was his occupation or the invasion of into Greenland. And let me give you the news here. The Danish foreign minister summons top U.S. diplomat over reports of Americans running influence campaigns in Greenland. I just want to get Mr. Norman's take on this matter. As you know, Greenland is quite so far into the North American region. How do you look into this matter of Donald Trump's administration?
Yes, with my short period of time, I just want to respond to that. It's a diversion. It's another distraction to keep people occupied and distracted from the actual overall mission. Yes, there's discussion about it, but there's no serious consideration. It's just something else to make people think that we are doing something. We have a midterm election coming up, and there's other people, there's parties that's trying to get a position, and we're trying to solidify a position with the Trump administration in the American public. So
Absolutely.
Right now, we're looking for credibility.
Absolutely, Norman, thank you very much. Have a good day from Dhaka to Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, let us come back to studio again. I want to get the attention from Ali Ahmed. Quite gentleman, very confident on his particular issues. My question is how Bangladesh can take advantages on the decision of Trump administration imposing 50% tariffs on buying Russian oils. Bangladesh can take huge advantage on exporting. Do you have any advice to the government of Bangladesh?
Yeah, there are certain things that one should not publicly gloat over. But the simple reason is that America's 50% duty, America is Indian. India is a direct competitor with governments, as is Vietnam, as is Turkey, and they all have been charged with higher rates of duty for export of garment items. So Bangladesh cannot take any advantage. Bangladesh is automatically blessed with advantages here, but in return, Bangladesh had to commit to buy 25 planes, Boeing. Whether we need it or not, it will be the quid pro quo, as they say. That would be the purchase from them, and they will give us this opportunity. We have 15%. So there would be automatically some benefits of our export of garments and certain other goods. And also NBR has made duties for America for certain items, American export. NBR has made a special order for reducing duties for them. This is absolutely unlawful, but NBR has done it, and nobody questions, because the WTO exists only in name. Now it is not there lawful,
not
but they have done it. And some of them, very big, I don't name here, told me, we have done this for America. I said, you have done absolutely illegally. He said, yes, we know.
Sir, you belong young generation, of this generation. We really appreciate your talents, your knowledge on IT and current affairs of the world. We really appreciate the new generation to come forward. My question is, do you think for accomplishing the international standard negotiations, diplomacy, we need to be smarter?
Well, let me comment on here. We as a country are going through a very interim phase, which I have not seen in the last 15 years. The advisory panel and the government of Bangladesh chief advisor Mohammad Yunus, he is a world renowned personality, someone who the entire world takes notice of. But I can't say the same for those who he is dependent on inside the relevant advisory panels. But one thing I understand that we should have a better negotiation team, given that politics of this year is more or less centered around America and how Donald Trump's trade tariffs is taking various countries on a toll, especially the countries that have a higher manufacturing and exporting capacity. Especially with Bangladesh, we know that our RMG sector has been developing over the years, and it is a place of matter of pride when we go abroad into the major retailers and we see on the label that says made in Bangladesh, that's a matter of pride for us, and I feel very proud of my nation when I see such a element abroad. But once again, I would reiterate, you asked a question to Mr. Ali Ahmed that the neighboring country is facing a 50% tariff. It's not because of any kind of regional issue, but it is the issue of them selling oil to Russia. So buying from Russia. So we must understand how it can play with us and what is our benefit here. The neighbor is facing a 50% tariff. Where can Bangladesh pick out and do something that would benefit Bangladesh? That is the point to be noted here, and that's what I think about it as well.
You see, we have seen some very smart guys have been onboarded, like Ashik Chaudhary, Bebja chairman or Bida chairman. We have seen Lutfi Siddiqui.
Yes.
They have the worldwide exposure. But we see still the FDI, foreign direct investment, is extremely slow. Therefore, no new employment is creating, no export product is we are producing. So we are very slow. Do you think government should go for high priority concentration on this to boost up our economy, to boost up our employment, to boost up our nation?
To arrive at a place where there is a stable foreign direct investment, investors only look at a return of their investment, and that is quite so important. Right now, in the coming months, we see a possible election date being announced by the various parties. As an investor, you would only invest in a place where you know that it will garner positive results for you in the long run. Right now, there are places in Bangladesh, there are various economies where investment is required, especially fisheries. You know, that our country run on a variety ranges of fishes, and of course, some of them have been exported to various countries as well in the past. Of course, as per your initial question, in order to attract stable trade or a stable direct investment from a foreign place, we must ensure that local politics and local elections are done properly. This is one of the major factors for the confidence between investors abroad.
Sir, let me put respectable Ali Ahmed in a tough position, because I know personally you were the part of policy making, of taxation, customs, port dealings, land acquisitions, which is very required for the foreign direct investors. My question is, do you realize that our policies are not yet friendly to invite foreign direct investment into Bangladesh? Though we have 7 USPs, we have 3 deep sea ports, we have the cheapest labor, land is still available, power and gas is available, we have a big market of 180 million people, we are the neighboring country of the world's largest population, where we need to go only by walk. Even why Bangladesh is failure on FDI?
The whole world is not conspiring against Bangladesh. No, they have no business to ensure that foreign direct investment doesn't come here. The reason lies within ourselves. Yes. First of all, simple thing is, when people come with money to invest here, he is an investor. He wants to make sure that there will be some handsome profit on his investment, and there is a long or at least mid-term sight that it will go on like that. Now, if you consider Bangladesh, it may be profitable for some things, but think of the political instability. All these political instability and quarrels and roads are being blocked and all those, the foreigners view it as unstable country. Yes. So they will first of all not come with any investment here. That nullifies the possibility. And then if you invest now, they invest now, it might be set on fire, as it has been done here. If you remember Bata at the first instance, Bata's contribution, the Bata company's contribution from abroad in 1971 was enormous for Bangladesh's liberation, and that Bata company shops have been set on fire.
Yes.
Those who have set it on fire do not know it. But what has happened? So people do not think that we are rational, we are gentle, or we are still fit to run a country. I am not trying to vilify anyone, but the people, well, I will say off the record, but then people sitting here, they do not know how to run a country. What experience do they have?
Correct.
How many of them do have it?
You said
so-
you said tough word, but I have been directed from the control room to go
I know.
for a break. Ladies and gentlemen, once in a seminar in Washington, I was talking with one person who is a specialized on Bangladesh issues. I asked him a question: why Bangladesh is not progressing so fast? He says, listen, in India, cricket is the religion. In Bangladesh, politics is the religion. Everybody are engaged in politics. When you can overcome this, let politicians do the politics, businessmen do the business, and workers do work, then Bangladesh will progress. I still remember that powerful remarks he has done. Ladies and gentlemen, let us come back from a break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. In on air and in off air, our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Pantho always try to put me one thing: never try to defame China, because China is the world's manufacturing hub. China is in such a position that China take the advantage or China can go behind. My question would be to you: how much China leverage the growing trade tensions between the United States and India to strengthen its own strategic position?
Well, from a business perspective, let me just add on that previously we used to know that American company iPhone, or the Apple company's product iPhone, used to be manufactured in China, and breaking news what is that now the production line of iPhone 17 is being changed into India. So this is a big accomplishment for Apple and of course for the two countries. I don't know how Americans see this issue, but it is definitely going to garner attention. But let me add on here that on September 3rd there is going to be a Chinese military parade drawing a high voltage allies. Of course this is to commemorate Japan's World War II surrender. And let me just add on that Russian President Vladimir Putin alongside North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will be in attendance, and of course to receive them Chinese President Xi Jinping will also be there. So this kind of posturing, this kind of photos and narratives in front of the camera will definitely irritate, if not bother, and draw attention of the United States and of course the United States President Donald Trump. You know that Donald Trump had earlier met Kim Jong-un, or who's known as the Rocket Man, way back in 2017, if not 18, in Singapore. I was there in Singapore then, and I've seen the two leaders using translators to talk to one another. But as you mentioned, China, you know, they are trying to understand what kind of tariff package the United States will be there, and we know there's a 90-day truce up until November. Whether or not this 90-day period will carry on or stay is a matter of question, as allies of the Chinese administration are now seen coming into China and to understand where the new world geopolitics are standing. I'm pretty sure that America will be taking very close notice of these such developments.
I personally know you are a big fan of Chinese business model. China doesn't engage itself to war, but China is in trade war. They are invading almost all over the world to introduce their business. Sir, what do you see? Do you see China's dominance in the world trade market?
Well, China has not literally invaded any country with arms.
With trade.
They have with goods, services. If they can supply the goods at a cheaper rate with good quality and give the services at a cheaper rate with good quality, any country will buy it. And that is what is happening with Chinese expertise. When China first flew its own commercial plane in their own country to show, we were taken aback. They have also made a plane. Now China has everything. You see, Donald Trump was very angry and annoyed with China and would make no secret of it. But now he is also pampering China to be with them. Because if China at least takes away those loans, 3 trillion or something of American goods, so America would be flooded with inflation and all that. So they are pampering China, and China is taking advantage, very cool-headed. So China has the capacity and the way to know how to utilize that capacity. That is the strength of China.
Every symptom shows that China will lead the world trade, America will lead the world security, world economy and dominance on the world. Ladies and gentlemen, time is running so fast. We still have so many things in our hand, but due to time we have to conclude today. One news I just want to share: New Delhi, among the world's most polluted city, again has been rewarded. Delhi is currently experiencing severe air pollution, with its air quality index AQI soaring above 150, placing amongst the top 10 polluted cities globally. And two more things I want to share. You remember the movie The Titanic, and one song became very popular: every night in my dream I see you. Today is the birthday of that Canadian singer Shania Twain, iconic Canadian country pop singer, songwriter, turned 60 today. Happy birthday, Tanya. And Today is 28 August. It is a remarkable day in the history of America because today Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech to the approximately 250,000 people in Washington DC, and this speech is considered one of the best, finest and most articulated human rights speech in the history. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you again on Sunday.